All right, our next presenter is Martin Flores with the iRODS Consortium. His talk is entitled iRODS HTTP API 0.5.0.
All right. So, hi everybody, Martin. I'm going to be going into presenting everything that's changed for iRODS 0.5.0. Yeah. So, without further ado, let's get straight into it. The user mapping for the access tokens and ID tokens in relation to OAuth, they have been changed. We now changed the system to be a pluggable based system where you can extend it, make your own plugins, and as well as we provide plugins as well. Like I said, it doesn't extract mapping of the JWTs to iRODS users. The previous two mapping methods that we had, which was the attribute mapping as well as the iRODS user claim, they have been abstracted to plugins as well. You see the long file names, that's the plugins for them. Main reason we made this is just that we have a really flexible method of actually performing mappings. For example, some people may want to build a plugin to actually reach out to external services to map, OAuth users to some iRODS users and have it be in a dynamic way. So this diagram looks pretty small, but basically the gist of it is the yellow part. We're talking about that, which is just the after authentication. How do we map the actual authenticated user to an iRODS user? All right. So, like I said, it is a pluggable interface. The actual interface is extremely simple. It's just 4 functions you need to implement to make a plugin. All you need to do is, implement the initialization function, match them free, which is basically the main life cycle of the plugins. Those 2 functions will be called repeatedly until the server is stopped, in which case the final function is just the close function. So just with these 4 functions, you could implement your own mapping procedure and do a lot of very interesting things. So going over a quick little comparison of how it was before versus how it is now. The old configuration, for example, for the user attribute mapping, you would need to put those values directly into the server configuration. Now, with the new version, you need to specify the plugin that you wish to use, in this case, the local file plugin. And 2, you need to specify the file that we'll be using to actually perform the mapping. The reason for this is because you can update the file that the mapping is in, and the plugin will pull in the new data, when it detects the file has been updated. So basically, what you had originally in the server configuration, it's now moved into an external file, and that can be updated. And it's very nice and convenient. Let's see. Also, for the other mapping method that we provided, the iRODS user claim, that's also as a plugin. This configuration got a bit longer. It's just the nature of the style that we chose, but it's effectively the same thing. So there's that. And now it's over to the next feature that we have. So right here for the access token validation, previously we only implemented online validation, which requires you to reach out to the OpenID provider, requires you to have a new connection every time to an authenticate user. Now we actually have offline or local validation, in which case the HTTP API will actually validate the JWT or ID token locally. So a lot more convenient. Let's see. Yeah, so like I just stated, very similar to the introspection endpoint, except this time it's just offline. The nice thing about this is that it supports a lot more providers. Some providers actually don't have the introspection endpoint because it does kind of have a lot of load on the actual OAuth provider. So by actually implementing the local validation, you get a lot more support for various providers. So shown here is just like an ASCII list of the different signing algorithms supported by the JWT standard. Basically, all these values are supported except for the none, because I believe that the standard says you shouldn't be using a none. This for signing the actual JWT, so you need something. Let's see. As for non-standard behavior, some issues did come up when actually doing the access token validation. We did look into this. And basically, it's just that some OpenID providers may not provide may not use the client secret for ID tokens. This isn't that big of an issue since the client mode is going to be going away soon, but still worth mentioning. We did allow like a non-standard option that you can pass in to bypass this behavior. Additionally, if you're really strict about what you're looking in the RFC, we do kind of bend the rules a little bit in regards to the job profile for the 2.0 access tokens, in that we don't strictly follow the AT plus JOT and the type header, but it's not that big of a deal. Everything else still respects the standard. Okay. So as a brief little comparison between the, between the two validation methods, the introspection endpoint as well as the local validation. So right here, what you're seeing in this diagram is the introspection endpoint. Like I said, the last 2 points, or the last 2 lines, they need to happen basically every time you pass an access token to the HP API. And some OpenID providers, they don't support that because, again, that's a lot of communication. So what we have implemented now is the offline validation or the local validation, in which you only reach out to the OpenID provider just once, just to get the JWK or JWKS, the signing information that you need for the tokens, to then validate it locally, which we just do from then on after just one call just to get all this information. So it's very nice. Now we can do a little demo. It's nothing too fancy. So let's see. So we're just gonna go ahead and, in this particular case, we're gonna use the user claim plugin. Let's see if we can see that. So you can see in these 2 lines, that one, that we're using the user claim plugin, and 2, in this case, we're mapping the iRODS username to iRODS username claim to the iRODS user. So we can just go into this very super simple website where we can log in. You can see we get all our information here, access token, refresh token, but we're using the access token in this case. And we can do a quit stat, get the information back. Very nice. And yeah, it mapped everything based off of the information provided in the access token. Yeah. Very nice. That's it. Okay. Any questions?
All right. Thanks, Martin. Do we have any questions for him?
This is Terrell. Is it done?
Is it done? There are some things that we can do, but the large strokes are definitely there. There are some nice to haves, like shown on this slide. The encrypted JOTs would definitely be a nice to have.
Can you make it?
Yeah. Shown here. There's also some minor bug fixes that need to be implemented as well. Removal of client mode, definitely want to do that. But yeah, definitely getting very close.
Yeah, it's excellent.
So do you plan to support refresh of the token as well in the future? Because you already have the caching. Nice.
So we're only really focused on implementing the protected resource. So all the refreshing stuff will be handled by the client proper. We're moving away from actually being a client in the iRODS HTTP API. We only just want to validate access tokens. So the refreshing would be handled by those who are using the HTTP API.
All right. Do we have any other questions? All right. Thanks, Martin.